Ahoy, vinyl lovers, music enthusiasts, and everyone in between. I'm Isaac, this is The Blind Island, and today we're going to be hitting you up with another Vinyl Finds video. This is part 2 for January 2021, and this time we're going to be showing a lot of contemporary artists. Normally I'm showing a lot of used material, and there is used material, but mostly everything that I'm showing this time around is going to be from the 21st century with a couple of exceptions. And you know, I am trying to get a little bit more contemporary music in my collection and trying to diversify a little bit. So let's get started with the first one. This is a very popular one here in the VC. And it was an album that was introduced to me a couple of years ago, and it went really quickly, so I couldn't find a copy, but I finally found one at my local record store, and that's Khruangbin, Kontodo El Mundo. I know that Khruangbin just came out with an album this year, Mordecai. I was not a huge fan of that record. I know that a lot of people really enjoyed it, and I thought it was enjoyable too, but it didn't have nearly as much to hang your hat on as this album did. Lots of great world psych here, really nice atmospheric type of music. If you're looking for a good psychedelic soulful listen, then this is a really great place to go. If you're looking for something maybe to expand your taste a little bit into the world music scene, really great album, one of my favorites from 2018. Next I have an album from the infatigable Ty Segall, and that is Fuzz. This was a project that he created with a trio, and this album is basically an homage to a lot of the 60s, 70s sludge metal guitar heroes that he loved back in the day. Very heavy on the fuzz pedal, and I just love that album artwork. I know that some people find this to be a little bit of like fetishism towards bands like Blue Cheer and Black Sabbath, but I find it to be a fantastic homage without veering into being almost overly into territory of being parody. It's a fantastic record. I love this album, and if you're a fan of 70s, 60s garage fuzz guitar, this is going to be right up your alley. I mean, look at that album cover. How could it let you down? Great stuff. Next, this is another album that reminds me a lot of the Rolling Stones 70s period, like with Beggar's Banquet and Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, and that's Jesus' Sons, Bring It On Home. This was recommended to me on Spotify, and this is a fantastic record. I don't know why more people haven't talked about it. It's really good. Just very visceral, very raw, and I love the bass that's on this thing. It is fantastic. It also came on this beautiful blue swirl vinyl. This is another thing. I got a lot of colored vinyl this time around. So this is a really beautiful record. And I also have a needle drop to include on this one. I think that this one will be for the track Miss Blue Jeans. And anyone who's a fan of that 70s Stones sound, you're going to want to check this out, because this is a great record. Check out the needle drop. She's a Romeo queen. Next, I have 2007's fantastic album, Me Without You, Brother Sister. Actually, I think this was released in 2006, my apologies. This was a huge record for me back when I was in high school. I love their artsy post-rock that they have on here. The album artwork, again, is just absolutely beautiful. This is the 2020 remaster, and it came on this absolutely gorgeous yellow vinyl. It's a sunburst, and I just look at that gorgeous coloring. And the remaster on here is, the sound mastering is fantastic. It is a super quiet pressing, and I love all of the beautiful lyricism on here. One of my favorite records to this day, and one of the records that I really carry with me from my high school years. So this is a really great album if you're kind of into that artsy post-rock with stuttering, intense vocals. Really, really cool album. Then next was a nice bargain bin find, and this is Almond Brothers Eat a Peach. This was found for $2 in a bargain bin, and it was one that I just needed to have in my album collection. I love this record, really nice rootsy blues, and to me, I really enjoy the sides where they're just keeping their songs a little shorter. The long jams sometimes lose me a little bit, and there is a bit of that too on here, but it really works. I love this record. This is my favorite Almond Brothers band album, and it just really works. If you haven't given the Almond Brothers band a chance, this might be a really good spot to go. And then next, I have a wonderful psychedelic soul album from 2019, and that is Ghost Funk Orchestra, A Song for Paul. This is just really icy, atmospheric, ghost-like psychedelic soul that's going to get inside your bones. Very, very cool stuff. Wonderful production value on here on high-grade vinyl. If you're a fan of Isaac Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul, this is really going to speak to you in a modern context. Really, really cool type of effects put on the vocals that are on here, and also really great instrumental jams as well. I'm going to include a little needle drop from one of the singles from off of here. It does have an expletive in it, so I apologize in advance for those of you who may be offended by that. But this is a fantastic record with some wonderful moments. A real highlight of psychedelic soul from the 21st century. Next, I'm continuing my surf collection with Dick Dale, Wild Hot Rod Whales. This is a compilation album, actually. They put Dick Dale as the top billing, of course, because he's the big selling name, but it's actually more Bo Troy and his Hot Rods. They hold up 8 of the tracks that are on here. Dick Dale only has 3 with his Deltones, but this is really good, muscular hot rod surf. And it's a fun album. Pick this one up for super cheap. And if you're a fan of Dick Dale, this is going to appeal to you. If you're a fan of surf rock, this is going to appeal to you. It's nothing that's going to be blowing you away, but it's a really great album. And I love the album artwork that's on here. Really cool surf record to add to the collection. Then one that I have been really excited for, and I really enjoy this album, have for a long time, and they finally pressed it on vinyl last year. I probably should have included this one in Vinyl Tag, but I didn't have the record yet, now I do, and that is Jonathan Richmond's I, Jonathan. The former lead singer of the Modern Lovers. This is his magnum opus as far as a single solo artist is concerned. Lots of just great, wonderful, hopeful, positive songs on here. It just makes you feel good. And in these times of uncertainty and weirdness, it's fun to have someone who's quirky and positive just singing songs where he is being nostalgic with a rose-colored lens that is really lovely. In his eyes, the 60s are a party that's open to everyone and anyone. and we should go to beach parties and all have fun together and be dancing our heads off. And I just love this record. I love his positive energy, but there's also moments of wistful melancholy, like songs like That Summer Feeling, and I also believe the Twilight in Boston. Twilight in Boston is the other song I'm thinking of, but really great album. If you haven't picked this one up yet, it's on Omnivore Records. Really, really great reissue. First time it's ever been released on vinyl, and I highly recommend that you go and pick up a copy of this. Next is another reissue. This first came out in 1992, but it was recently reissued again because it came out with a reissue, but first time on vinyl by four men with beards, and they notoriously don't have the best mastering process. But then they came out with another copy here on Omnivore again, killing it, and that is Chris Bell, I Am the Cosmos. Chris Bell was one of the lead singers for the band Big Star, and man, this is a phenomenal record. It is so good, just filled with archival recordings that of a very tortured, talented person who died far too young. Died December 26th, 1978, on his way back home from a rehearsal. Never had the chance to release this album proper, and it's a real shame because what a talent. Incredibly heart-rending, beautiful, soulful, spiritual lyrics, and just if you're a fan of Big Star and that style of music, then there's going to be a lot to love here. This comes on a beautiful translucent blue vinyl and sounds great. Super dead quiet wax. Highly recommended, and this is just a phenomenal record. Highly recommended for any fans of Big Star out there. Then next is another contemporary artist that I just recently rediscovered. I used to listen to him a lot in college, then I started re-listening to him again recently. This is his most recent album with his band, the Shapeshifters, and that is Shawn James and the Shapeshifters. And this is the gospel according to Shawn James and the Shapeshifters. This album is a mix between very hard rock and traditional country. Kind of reminds me a bit of the Pogues, how they're imbuing a bit of the punk spirit in with Irish Celtic music. This is kind of what Shawn James is doing with traditional bluegrass music. I really love his voice. There's so much grit, there's so much power behind him. The lyricism on here is very, very interesting. It's just a really good listen. The production value, it does get a little high. It's a little overpowering at times with some of the instrumentation, but it's still a very captivating listen. For those of you who are looking for something a little bit harder, maybe wanting to get into blues rock, this might be a good entryway for you. I'm going to include a little needle drop for you to get a little taste of what Shawn James and the Shapeshifters sound like. Next, I am rounding off my Budos Band collection with the Budos Band Burnt Offering. This is their 2014 album, and I don't know, it's close to being my favorite Budos Band record. I really love just the sludgy guitar that's on here on the Afro beats. Really, really solid stuff. It's very different from their first three records, and I really liked the direction that they started to head on in this album. I think that once I get Budos Band 2, I will release a ranking of my favorite Budos albums and what order they come in, because this is just a band that doesn't get enough talk, enough hype. They're one of my favorite bands of all time, so really, really cool record. And then the last three are kind of bigger name albums. First one I'm really happy to finally have a copy of, and this is a 1982 reissue of the Cramps' Songs the Lord Taught Us. This is psychobilly at its best, with punk aspirations while still having that wonderful Carl Perkins hiccup. I just freaking love this album. I Was a Teenage Werewolf is one of my favorite songs, and I just love the oozing sexuality that's on this record. So cool. Really cool album to have in the collection. Very, very happy to have this one. Then next, I got this one from Lovell Andrew. Again, thank you so much, man, for the great deal on it. I did show it on what I was spinning. I couldn't wait to share it. But it's Syd Barrett's Barrett. His second album, last solo album. Real shame. This is a Japanese pressing. Love that obi strip right there. And it does have a little noise in the background, but it still sounds fantastic. Lovell gave me a fantastic deal on this, and I am just so happy to have this record by one of my favorite psychedelic artists. And then finally, this one was really cool. Found it in an antique mall. I saw this one featured on Noble Records. Dylan was talking about it in what was in one of his heavy rotations, and that is Stepson, a self-titled debut album. The only record they ever came out with, and they really remind me a lot of Bang, another band and album I talked a lot about last year. Really, really good, hard-hitting fuzz rock. This is a fantastic record, and I picked this one up for like $3 at an antique mall, and it's on the original ABC label. And this one usually goes for like $35 to $40, not like a crazy rare album, but it's definitely getting harder to find. It hasn't had a reissue yet, isn't found on Spotify, and it definitely needs to have one because this is a great album. I'm going to include a needle drop to give you a taste of what Stepson sounds like. So guys, those are my latest vinyl finds. What did you think? Are there any records that you would like in your collection? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a great day on your own personal oasis. Cheers.